Alright, hello everyone, welcome to Anime Jump Episode 6. I know it's a little delayed. It's not going to cover everything that's happened within the past week or so, but it is what it is. I only have time to watch some a series and talk about certain things. So, this week we're going to be talking about God Eater, Arslan Senki, and then this week's One Piece chapter. I know that Shokugeki no Soma came out, I know that Yamada came out, but with Yamada's pacing, I'm probably going to wait until the next chapter, and I'll kind of have talk about the last 3 weeks or so of Yamada. Might be the best way to approach that. And with Soma, I'm probably going to talk about the anime when the manga comes out, because the anime I can go over so quick, so it's not even worth having its own segment. So we're starting off with God Eater this week, which returned after a week's hiatus. And as usual, I'm going to go over what happened in the episode, and then I'll give my thoughts at the end. So if you're not into that, if you're very anti-spoilery when you come to your anime podcast, then I'm sorry. This is your spoiler warning for everything I'm going to be talking about during the show. So, we started off with another flashback sequence with the Oracle Cell scientists. They believe that headquarters will shut their project down once they get their report. We cut back to the present. Alyssa and Lenka are brought to Johannes, the director of the Far East branch. Alyssa is brought in for help with the Aegis project, and Lenka's charges have been suspended because of all of the things that happened in the last episode. Koda's reintroduced with a brand new look. The clothes are given to him by his mother. They're all assigned to the first unit. We get formal introductions, well, not really formal with Soma, but we get formal introductions to the other members of the first unit. But at this point, you know who they are. You've met them, you've seen them fight, so Koda invites Alyssa and Lenka to go into town with him, but Alyssa simply walks off. Lenka declines, saying he wants to train, but he's dragged in anyway. We cut away to Alyssa, where she's talking to that doctor guy from the last episode, and she notes that Lenka's eyes are the same as hers, something called Uzus or something. Apparently it means hell in Russian, so I probably butchered that, but, whatever. Lenka sees food distribution happening in Fenrir for the first time in the slums. This is the first time he's seen it because he's been living outside the walls, and Koda gives a brief explanation. You can't see where most people living here are actually in a shanty town. Koda brings Lenka to his home. We get introduced to Koda's mom, and she is like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you're a God Eater." When he says that he's been assigned to the first unit, she tells him to come back safely. He says not to worry. Possible death flag? I don't know, because I know Koda's a main character in the games too, so if he's already getting a death flag here in the first real arc of the series, probably not a good sign for him. We see the remains of the battle from the first few episodes, and I didn't think that the amount of destruction caused was that big, but there were some giant craters, there was a lot going on, but there are plenty of people who survived, so, it is what it is, and they're trying to rebuild it, I believe. Koda mentions the Aegis project, and he brings Lenka to the top of a wall. He points towards an island in the distance. That whole island is the Aegis project, which will be used as a shelter that can contain all of mankind that can't be attacked by the Aragami. And they're building it using cores, which is what the first unit is doing. Only sword types can apparently devour cores from Aragami. So they go on the first mission together, and Lindell splits everyone into two-man cells, and we kind of see them all interacting. Alyssa is doing all the work on her own, even though she's paired up with Lindell, but he simply kind of sighs, that Shikamaru style, whatever kind of sigh. But so there's a lot more action scenes with Soma. We see Lenka do some stuff. Sakuya kills, well, not really kills, but takes down one of the Aragami they're going after, and tells Alyssa to finish it off, but she doesn't do it. So Lenka has to go fight it. He almost gets defeated, but Soma jumps in and kills it, tells Lenka he needs to start killing his enemies with one attack. So Sakuya confronts Alyssa about why she didn't attack the Aragami, and she goes, "I didn't do it because I already reached my quota for the day." Lindell, in the distance, kind of goes over everything that they've gotten together so far for the day, and they just cut away, going back towards the wall. They find a group of survivors out there, and they bring them with them. Sakuya asks if it's alright, and that's kind of foreshadowing to the scene that would happen afterwards. The little girl asks Lenka about being a God Eater. She calls it awesome, as Lenka gives her a bottle of water. The drop of the civilians, they're told there's a civilian gate over there. They have to bring their car into a certain other gate. But the gates aren't too far apart because we see the group pleading with soldiers, please let us in. But it turns out they have failed the patch test, which means that none of them are compatible to be a God Eater, so they can't enter. They can't live inside Fenrir. This really upsets Lenka, but Lindau's like, what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? And Lenka just gets really frustrated, but he knows there's nothing he can do. There's kind of like this heartbreaking scene though, as we slowly see like that group of survivors heading back outside, heading back out to danger, and the little girl turns back towards Lenka with tears in her eyes, and they make eye contact right before the door slams shut. We end the episode with another flashback as Johannes decides to lie on the report to headquarters about the Oracle cells, which probably leads to what happens with them. And so basically him and his friends are at fault for why the world is the shape that it's in. So the animation for this series continues to be absolute top-notch. Studio Ufotable and the others, because I know there's like 20 other studios helping them do this series, they're doing an amazing job. I know it's stressful. I know that they probably aren't getting the pay they deserve, but man, they're doing a great job. The music's pretty good too. It definitely fits what I've heard from the game's OST, and of course they play it perfectly with the mood of each scene. Like the song they play when Lenka and Koda are looking out at the Aegis project is really nice. It's kind of technically, and I normally don't like techno-style music, but it really fit in that scene. Overall, a great episode. A lot more aspects on how the world works. And the return of Koda was nice. We knew he'd be coming back because he was in the opening, but I was thinking maybe because how long training takes, it would be in like the episode after this one, or even the whole arc after this one. The action sequence was nice, but a little short, and they kind of skipped around a lot, but, you know, that is what it is. We got to see everyone showcase at least a little bit, except for Lindau, because Alyssa was being a show-off. But I can't help but wonder what's going to happen with this Aegis project and how exactly the cores kind of protect people. There's still a lot more questions than answers, but this series continues to be a great show. I'm going to give Episode 4 a main event rating, and hopefully we don't have too many more hiatuses in the near future. But it looks like next week we're teasing up some kind of big origami fight. Origami, I keep changing how I want to pronounce it, but maybe I'll learn eventually. But it was a great episode. Can't wait for next week. So, Arslan Senki this week wrapped up the Shinjurin arc of the series, thank God. This episode starts with the passing of Regenda's father, and he ascends the throne to become king. Regenda holds a banquet for Gadevi, or Godvi, however you pronounce it. I'm not even sure the Japanese know how to pronounce it. But the banquet is because he's going to kill him. And Gadevi pleads for his life. Regenda's like, I can't believe you're begging like this. Arslan enters the room, and Gadevi decides he's going to try and kill him, but the hawk comes in and like pokes one of his eyes out, and he's beheaded. So, yeah. Arslan and Regenda are talking, and Regenda's like, alright, so, you know, you helped me like I promised, I'm going to help you. Well, what do you need? And Arslan asks for 500 men, but Regenda insists on giving him 3,000. After Arslan leaves the room, Regenda's advisor says this is way too many, but Regenda reveals he has true intentions. He wants to capture Arslan, or see what kind of king and what man he's going to become. Unknowingly to them, Joshua overhears this, and that kind of sets the stage for the big conflict of the episode. Arslan's group is now proceeding back towards Pars with the power of 3,000 extra men. They stop overnight, and we see some spies kind of creeping around. They're about to attack, I forgot who they were going to attack, but they're going to attack one of the characters, and we just see giant bonfires go up around the camp. Regenda has his own little force that have been following them the whole time, and they run down the slope. They're going to attack confidently, and they're going to capture Arslan. They're not going to kill him, they're going to capture him. But unfortunately, Narcissus saw through the plan, and it reveals that no one's hurt, all the main characters are still alive. And after a very brief scuffle, Regenda is captured for the second time. Joshua was able to inform Narcissus of Regenda's true intentions, and Regenda is forced to sign a 3-year peace treaty. This means he cannot attack Pars for at least 3 years. So, likely a war between Arslan and Regenda will happen. Joshua joins the group, but notes that if that war comes to pass, he will align with his home country. But regardless, Arslan has gained a new ally. The narrator notes that the theater of war is about to change back to Pars. Probably the weakest arc in the series is finally over, and it kind of goes out on a whimper. Regina was never really a favorite character of mine, and I really felt the writing around getting him out of the story was kind of weak. Though it was teased the entire time that he was just using Arslan's group for his own gain, but the execution of his final plan was fairly messy and honestly really anticlimactic. He didn't put up much of a fight. It only took like a minute and a half to 2 minutes for this whole conflict to be put to an end. The animation was fine. Aside from that actual fight scene, there was like a lot of those motion blur style still images, which, you know, we know this anime is capable of putting out good action scenes, so I think that's probably the most disappointing thing that they've done. I think Rajenda should have put up a bit more of a fight, but I guess it is kind of implied he's more of a tactician than a fighter. He's kind of like Narcissus, but Narcissus is a much, much better tactician than Rajenda is, so... But this long Shenduran arc is finally over, and I'll be honest with you, I'm ready to get back to par. We're like 18 episodes in now, I believe, so I'm ready for this like super climactic battle against the Silver Mask guy, whose name I can't remember, but their super climactic battle was on the horizon for sure. And honestly, it's really time for Arslan to learn how to fight properly. They haven't really gone too far into that. But overall, regardless of that, I'm going to give this episode a mid-card. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. It was good. It was middle of the road. I'm just happy this arc is over, and I'm actually looking forward to next week now that we're getting back on track with the main story, which is Pars versus Lustania, or however you pronounce that country's name. I am just glad to be getting back to that. So the last thing I'm talking about today is One Piece. This week caused a bit of a split among fans, as many believe we see more from the conflict between Kids Group and Kaido. However, in typical Oda fashion, we have switched back to Dressrosa. Kuros has spread around a false rumor about Rebecca's parents, something like Scarlet was married off to a prince from another kingdom, but they both died tragically, and Rebecca found her way back to Dressrosa. Complete nonsense. This is because Kairos himself was never meant to be in the royal family and believes he shouldn't be recognized as Rebecca's father. This makes Luffy really mad, but he's still trying to recover from the fight with the Flamingo, so he's mad but he's falling asleep while trying to eat as well. So it has been 3 days since the defeat of the Flamingo, so I don't know if the events from last week's chapter were also 3 days later, or if this is even 3 days after that. If this is 3 days after that, then what the hell has Sanji's group been doing? And chances are Kid's group either got into a fight with Kaido, or Kaido just kind of said, I'm leaving. Not even going to recognize these 3 guys in front of me. I don't know. But at the beginning of the chapter, Sengoku and I believe her name's Suru arrive at Dressrosa, and Sengoku's a lot more laid back than he used to be. He's basically another Garp. He's even eating snacks like Garp would. Fujitora says he has not been cheating when he's rolling the dice, which everyone thought he was. But for the past 3 days, he has rolled a 1, which means he will not attack Luffy and Law, even though Akainu wants him to. So he rolls the die for the day, and it's revealed we get a 6. So Fujitora is leading in advance to go capture Luffy and Law. Bartolomeo bursts into Kuros's house and is like, hey, the Marines are coming, Fujitora is finally attacking. They have a ship for Luffy's alliance to leave on. This is where we see Bellamy and Law interact, and Bellamy asks why Law saved him, and Law just goes, because you're Luffy's friend and he'd be pissed at me if I didn't, basically. And a lot of people think that Bellamy could be a contender for Law's new crewmate. Everyone's been thinking, oh, Straw Hat, new Straw Hat, new Straw Hat, but what if we just see Bellamy joining up with Law? Who knows? It's a possibility. Anything's a possibility in this series. So we see that like Sai and Cavendish and everyone else who's been helping them throughout the arc is going to help them escape, and they're laid in like checkpoints throughout the island because I think they have to go to the East Port, they said. So they have quite a bit of distance to cover, if I recall correctly, to get over there. So who knows what's going to happen. So everyone starts to leave, but Luffy stays behind, saying there's one more thing he needs to do. Meanwhile, Fujitora says that he is going to test Luffy's luck once and for all, and that is the end of the chapter. Now, this chapter was a blatant setup chapter for the grand finale of the Dressrosa arc. We've been on this island for 2 hours, I wish, 2 years, so I'm excited to finally be leaving it. I'm going to give One Piece an upper card this week. It was a solid setup chapter. Luffy didn't say that they're going to catch up to Sanji's group, so hopefully the Sanji's group still is, fairly nearby. And I'm still looking forward to hear what happened to them. How did they get away from Big Mom, and how did they end up on one of Kaido's islands fighting his goons? So I'm not upset about Kaido being absent this week like a lot of people are. I fully expected him not to be there. Oda does this kind of stuff all the time. The most infamous before this one was probably right before the War Arc, I believe, when Shanks and Whitebeard clashed and the heavens split, and we didn't find out until the war started that nothing really happened there. Not to mention Ace and Blackbeard. We didn't find out for a very long time what happened at the end of that fight. We had a whole other arc before we were told that Ace was being executed. So Oda does this stuff all the time. Getting mad at this point means you probably haven't been reading One Piece that long. I understand you're not used to it, but I'm used to it. A lot of people are used to it. This is what Oda does. So, as I mentioned earlier, Shokugeki no Soma will be in the next episode along with Boku no Hero Academia. And I already have notes together for Dragon Ball Super, but I'm bringing in Dave for that hopefully. But if not, you'll know when episode 7 comes out. But I'm not going to spoil any of my feelings from Dragon Ball Super quite yet. So that's going to do it for episode 6 of Anime Jump. Next, I'm still kind of playing catch up, but not really, because I've talked about a lot of new stuff from this week. I'm going to continue to try and get these out more quickly and keep them around this length. About 15 minutes, 16 minutes. I know episode 5 was really long, but we covered The Last. And we had a lot to say about The Last. Not every day I watch an anime movie. Very rare, in fact. But so yeah, we'll be talking about Dragon Ball Super, Boku no Hero Academia, and Shokugeki no Soma next week. I might talk about Nisei Koi, because I just finished reading that, and I want to talk about that, and Assassination Classroom, but those can be done really quick. They'll be all on 2 or 3 minute discussions or whatever. So that's going to do it for this week's episode. Well, not this week's episode, because chances are episode 7 will come out this week too, but I'm finally trying to get back on track with Anime Jump, so I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.